Hello, hello, and welcome. How are you today? My brain is just like going right now. I just had an amazing meeting with a medical provider that I'm looking to collaborate more with. And we just had such a good conversation that just sparked my interest in so many ways. And so I wanted to do a video talking more about weight loss injectables. Very, very hot right now, very popular. And I think it's important that we just understand, what is available to us versus just always looking for someone else to tell us to do something and blindly following, trends. I mean, this is very hot because it's an easy button and it's something that we can take and see results quickly. So, of course, there's a draw. And this is one of the things he asked me as a provider is what is your take on weight loss injectables as a dietitian? Let's understand first that providers are genuinely looking in our best interest. Their training is in medications. Their training is to treat medical conditions and diagnoses and um, illness through a medication regimen. And that's their training. So now this is an option for weight loss. Providers have, 15 minutes, whatever it is, to really go through long list of problems with people, and they just don't have the time or resources to dedicate to really addressing the whole picture. What I really loved about this provider, he's an internal medicine doc, and he started his own practice with a different healthcare model which is very similar to what I do with my nutrition clients, and very personalized, continuous support and communication, and not just, one and done quick little visits here and there, really getting to know the whole person and treating them congruently. So let's start with, I always like to see things in two sides, in two lanes, and never just like one way, and try to be open-minded. I didn't feel comfortable talking about this topic until there was more time with people experiencing being on these drugs and what we were seeing with real humans, and my clients that I'm working with too. I'm actually seeing these people and what is going on more. So I would say the first thing is, let's look at where can these drugs be used in a positive fashion. I can see someone coming to their doctor and saying, I'm feeling very frustrated. I have felt like I've tried a lot of things, and now my health markers are starting to be very concerning, right? My A1C is high, my fasting blood sugar, my cholesterol levels, my metabolic health is concerning, and it's affecting my labs and therefore how I feel. And it's limiting me. I have a significant amount of weight to lose, 50 pounds, a significant amount of body mass to lose. So that could be maybe a stepping stone to, okay, let's start to understand what it feels like to be full and satisfied. A lot of times in the beginning, people just don't feel those cues, or they're scared to feel them, because if they feel hunger, it feels like this out of control feeling, and it's this constant effort to resist feeling hunger. And this is a healthy thing to feel. It's just how we're responding around this. So where someone has maybe not felt this way in a very long time, and they're like, wow, I feel full and satisfied, and therefore they can connect back with this feeling. Let's understand what's happening with these medications. Now, there's a variety of them, so I'm keeping this very broad in terms of what's happening, but a lot of these medications are GLP-1. They affect GLP-1. So what is happening is when our blood sugar rises after eating, GLP-1, glucagon peptide 1, I think is what it stands for. Let me just make sure I'm saying glucose-like peptide 1. I want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. So essentially, this is stimulating the body to produce insulin. Insulin unlocks the key to our cells to let blood sugar in, meaning blood sugar in our bloodstream needs to go somewhere. And when it's staying in our bloodstream, it creates high blood sugar. So when it goes into our cells, our muscles or our liver are going to the main places that store access glucose in the form of glucagon. So this hormone naturally in our body helps us do this. Now, if we're seeing really high blood sugar all the time, this medication can help that process happen if we're seeing sluggish pancreas with secreting insulin. So that's one thing it's doing. It's also helping to curb hunger levels. So we have this balance between our hunger hormones, which are called ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin creates that feeling of hunger, leptin creates feeling of fullness. So this medication is also increasing that level of leptin to help us feel full with less quantity of food. And the third piece here is it's slowing the transit time of food from your stomach into your small intestine, which makes you feel fuller longer and therefore you're eating less, right? So this is kind of the interplay of what's happening from a biological standpoint and making us eat less, okay? So this can be great temporarily. Maybe we see some weight loss, we see some health markers improving, you feel more in control and you're connecting back with your body, okay? These are the things that can be helpful. Now, the big gap is when you're transitioning off this medication because insurance is not going to cover this forever, and you probably don't want to be reliant on a medication forever. And the third piece here is what's happening when you're losing weight. Are you changing the composition of your diet and your nutrition? If you're just eating the same way, that's not very healthy and you're just eating, one food group, or you're not really giving your body the vitamins and minerals and nutrients and macronutrients that it needs, we're also starting to see nutrient deficiencies. So you'll start to see your hair's falling out, your skin's dry, you have poor energy, you're constipated. Maybe you're significantly losing weight, but you're losing muscle mass. Guess what our metabolism functions efficiently on? Greater muscle mass in your body composition. So these are very concerning things that are happening in an extreme calorie deficit. You can create a calorie deficit in many different ways, whether you're going on a restrictive diet, whether you're using a medication, no matter what your method is, if you're under eating to a degree that your body does not feel safe, it's going to down-regulate other non-vital, non-survival processes. So these accessories of like your hair and your skin and your nails and these things that you care about, your body's like, these are not important for me to survive. And therefore, I'm down regulating other non-vital processes so I can just like do the basics, heart beating, lungs, breathing, all these basic things our body needs to do to literally keep us alive. So our bodies are working in congruent with us. We are just resisting the process by doing simple things that aren't addressing the root cause, right? So what's the real cause here of why we're not seeing results in you achieving healthy, sustainable weight loss? And there's so many layers to this, right? So so on the cons side, now we've addressed of like, okay, where can this be appropriately used? What setting? Now the cons is the nutrient deficiencies. What is your activity pattern looking like, right? So if you're killing yourself in the gym doing these high intensity cardio workouts and significantly under eating, you're likely to injure yourself. You feel terrible. You're not recovering from your workouts, and you're probably losing just like electrolyte imbalances. We'll see a lot of stuff, headaches, poor energy, lack of menstrual cycle, electrolyte imbalances. Like there's so many things that are happening when you're not appropriately learning how to feel your body in accordance to your activity level. So that's another piece. Another thing I see a lot is people that are on a multitude of medications for mental health management, bipolar, depression, anxiety. A lot of these medications people are using to manage their mental health. And then we're adding this other drug for weight loss because a lot of these other medications affect your appetite. So this is where it gets a little messy when we start really getting involved in so many medications, and then you feel further disconnected from your own body. Okay, this is like a big one. So then there's a lot of fear around what happens when I change one medication. then I might, I have to stay on this drug for, it's really helping me manage my, what's the word I'm looking for? My stability with my mental health and just my mood and my energy. So what's going to happen when I go off this other medication? Whereas if we can address this before it's adding an additional medication, I'm looking at, okay, let's understand what you really need in terms of a nutrition profile to support your body. How can we support your blood sugar through your diet and through lifestyle? And I know that's a general term, but when you can really understand this for yourself, this is what I take into account with each person I work with, a full nutrition assessment and looking at what is your nutrition now so we can make small modifiable changes, meeting you where you're at with the foods that you enjoy. It's not me just telling you, here's what you have to eat. This is what I do. It has nothing to do with me. It's about what is going to work for you in your season of life and meeting you where you're at so you can make these changes for yourself. We are also learning to connect back with your hunger and fullness cues now before having to introduce another medication that's playing with us. So your body naturally is innately built to feel these sensations, but first of all, we're so disconnected from ourselves because of just decades of dieting, which has literally taught us to avoid hunger, avoid listening to that, pushing through, distract yourself. You're not really feeling this way, right? Of just like, and then it leads to eventual overeating, feeling out of control, guilt and shame. And it's this continuous spiral. So if we can understand how to build meals to support our blood sugar and how to eat in a rhythm throughout the day and how to support our bodies with other lifestyle factors, sleep patterns, activity levels, hydration status, having support in your life that you feel is reciprocal and you feel heard and you feel validated, all these things matter in how you show up for yourself and how you get results for the long run. Because if you're just, okay, I'm seeing weight loss. Great. We're seeing weight loss. What is happening to your body composition? Like I was mentioning before. So if we can avoid having to reset your metabolism because of being in such an extreme calorie state for an extended period of time, you should not be eating that way for more than 4 to 6 months, but people are on this medication for a lot longer than that. We need to allow your body to feel safe again. And this is going to allow your metabolism to work at a more efficient speed because it feels safe and therefore it feels safe to release additional energy that way. So that is my little riff on weight loss drugs. And you always have a choice. You always have a choice in what you feel like is best for you. But instead of just, hearing this blasted in your face from celebrities and, colleagues and neighbors and friends, take personal responsibility for understanding what this is first. What are the pros and cons, like any decision you make in your life, and what could you maybe do differently to support yourself without having to add in another layer of something that you may need to, transition away from eventually anyway, when you can just do this the right way from the beginning. So let me know if you have questions about this at all. I'm happy to share any other just like talking through this. But I think the last thing I want to leave you with is if you are someone that has chosen to go down this road, don't feel like you need to feel guilty and you need to feel this shame. Because I hear so many people tell me this. And I think that's the mantra of like, oh, I've done this like, easy thing. But a lot of people are truly, I see, doing this incongruent with changes in their diet and lifestyle, which is great. But the gap here is when you transition off of that medication. And that's what this provider and I were talking about, is that's where he's seen a really big gap in the market of great, we're seeing some progress here, but what happens next? And that's where I can really be a bridge into you understanding this for yourself and your body and feeling empowered to make your own choices off of a medication. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if I can create any more clarity around that. And I will see you in the next video.